When we think of cutting-edge tech, we almost always picture sleek new consumer gadgets, right? Or maybe AI writing our emails. But I was looking at the data recently, and honestly, the real tech revolution, it's happening entirely out of sight. We're talking about the gritty, overlooked, physical back end of traditional business. So welcome to this explainer. We're going to take some really complex trends and break them down so you can see exactly what's driving the future. Because as you'll see today, massive bottlenecks equal massive opportunities.
All right, let's just dive right in. What do a tractor, a mine, a Bible, and a corporate merger actually have in common? I know, it sounds exactly like the setup to a strange joke, but the answer is literally at the core of today's explainer. These are four wildly different, totally unrelated legacy sectors, and they are all being radically disrupted right now by modern SaaS, software as a service, and artificial intelligence.
So, to make sense of this massive shift, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at modernizing legacy industries. Then, we'll check out the race to secure critical minerals. After that, we're diving into the AI therapy boom. Then, we'll see how AI is accelerating corporate mergers, and finally, we'll tie it all together by looking at the AI-driven future. Let's go!
Part 1. Modernizing legacy industries. Let's start with our first major bottleneck. For decades, the agriculture and heavy equipment sectors have been incredibly slow to digitize. We're talking about the massive, critical industries that literally feed the world and build our cities, and yet they've historically been running on super outdated back-end systems. The contrast here is just fascinating. On the one hand, you have the old way. Literal paper and pencil systems that farmers and ranchers have relied on for years. And then you have the new way, all-in-one app software. There's this whole wave of tech startups stepping in to fix this. For example, a SaaS company called Ambrook built an accounting software tailored specifically for family-owned ag operations, and they purposefully designed it to be lightning fast to set up, dragging these traditional businesses into the digital age in just a matter of minutes.
It's a real game changer, because this platform allows farmers to turn operational chaos into clean, data-driven decisions. They aren't just digitizing old habits, they're unlocking totally new capabilities. We're talking tracking bank accounts, uploading receipts and bills, sending invoices, and, this is super cool, even researching grant funding. It also breaks down profit by specific business areas, so operators finally have total visibility into their expenses. And the adoption rate? It totally proves how desperate the industry was for this. Over 2,500 agriculture operations are using the platform right now.
And the financial viability of this modernization trend is absolutely massive. Ambrook alone just closed a $30 million Series B funding round. $30 million! And they're definitely not alone in this space. Another company, BuildOps, which modernizes the tech stack for HVAC and plumbing contractors, recently hit a staggering $1 billion valuation. They literally doubled their value in just a year. So, whether it's accounting for farms or autonomous systems for heavy equipment, modernizing the physical world is big, big business. Moving on to Part 2, securing critical minerals. Now, if you think the tech stack of a farm is a bottleneck, well, wait until you see the supply chain vulnerabilities around the very materials that power our modern world. I'm talking everything from wind turbines and electric cars to satellites and military jets. The geopolitical bottleneck here is staggering. For the top 20 critical minerals, China currently holds a massive 70% market share. 70%! And beyond just that market dominance, the supply of these critical minerals is incredibly unpredictable, thanks to wild price fluctuations and trade issues. Actually, to give you an idea, 3/4 of critical minerals have greater price volatility than oil.
Let this stark fact sink in for a second. The U.S. currently imports 100% of its supply for 12 critical minerals. 100%. And 50% of its supply for 28 others. This extreme reliance is exactly why experts are sounding the alarm. Because even if the United States dramatically ramped up its infrastructure today, it would take an estimated 8 to 10 years for production to actually reach significant levels.
But here is where the innovation steps in. There's this Massachusetts-based startup called Phoenix Tailings, and they're bridging this gap in a really fascinating way. They extract essential rare earth metals, stuff like neodymium and dysprosium, from tailings. Tailings are basically just the leftover rubble after primary mining is done. So here's their zero-waste process. They mix this mining rubble with a water solvent, add molten salts, and heat the whole shebang to a blazing 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. Then they pump it over membranes to capture the metals. And the absolute best part? It's a zero-waste process. The solvents and salt are reused, and the remaining tailings are just safely buried.
And this isn't just some lab science experiment, right? It's scaling rapidly. Their current Massachusetts plant produces 40 metric tons annually, but their new plant in New Hampshire is projected to scale up by 10 times, hitting 400 metric tons a year. And fueling this massive growth is over $40 million in recent funding. It just goes to show that domestic extraction, driven by brilliant tech innovation, is a rapidly growing frontier.
All right, part 3, the AI therapy boom. We're going to shift gears completely now. We're moving from heavy industry and global supply chains into the deeply personal realms of faith and mental health. There's a profound bottleneck in healthcare right now. Over half of all people with mental health struggles receive absolutely zero treatment. And that's largely due to the prohibitive cost of care and a really severe shortage of available physicians and clinics.
Well, nature abhors a vacuum, and technology is stepping in. Check out this astonishing number: 40 million. That is the number of Christians using an app called Bible Chat. It's a free app with over 5 million downloads, and it uses a large language model, or LLM, that's been trained by theologians and pastors. Users can just chat with the AI to get daily devotions, spiritual guidance, and encouragement. When traditional avenues for support are unavailable or just too expensive, millions of people are turning to companionship chatbots and specialized AI tools. In fact, search interest for AI therapy has literally tripled in just the past year alone.
However, we definitely need to view this through a critical, objective lens. The scientific and medical communities are actually deeply split on the effectiveness and safety of AI therapy. On one side, some research points to clear potential benefits, showing that AI therapy can genuinely improve symptoms of anxiety and depression for users who otherwise have no access to care. But conversely, other studies highlight a severe potential risk, warning that chatbots might inadvertently increase the risk of self-harm. It's a highly complex, deeply sensitive frontier of tech, and we're watching it evolve in real time.
Okay, part 4, accelerating corporate mergers. Let's head into the corporate boardroom to expose our fourth and final specific bottleneck. In the high-stakes world of mergers and acquisitions, or M&A, data is quite literally everything. But here's the catch. The overwhelming volume of data in the modern digital age is actually slowing transactions down.
There is so much growing friction in this system right now. From the 2013 baseline to today, the average due diligence timeline has jumped to 203 days. That's a massive 64% increase. And for corporate deal makers, time kills deals. This expanding timeline is creating a huge, super expensive drag on corporate transactions worldwide.
But industry sentiment on how to solve this? It's crystal clear. 70% of dealmakers believe generative AI will help generate a higher alpha, meaning better performance and higher returns on these transactions. On top of that, 84% think this tech will help plan and execute deals way more reliably. And it isn't just theoretical either. 29% of large firms are already actively implementing AI tools into their due diligence processes today. Let's break down exactly how these tech solutions are slashing through the data jungle. A provider like DDIQ focuses heavily on accuracy, and they claim to reduce false positives and unwanted noise by 95%. Then you have a tool like Zappian, which does all the heavy lifting of extraction. It pulls relevant data from 500 million corporate records and literally tens of trillions of web pages to drastically cut down the hours spent analyzing risk. Meanwhile, SourceScrub acts as this massive deal discovery engine, analyzing over 290,000 sources to find the best targets. Long story short, AI is saving countless annual hours of human labor in the M&A pipeline.
Finally, part 5, the AI-driven future. Let's pull the lens back for a second and connect everything we've looked at today. From family farms to the corporate boardroom, the through line of this explainer is incredibly clear.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, these hidden frontiers teach us 3 main things. First, tech innovation is completely industry agnostic. Whether you're plowing a field, heating mining rubble to 1300 degrees, seeking daily spiritual devotions, or buying a multinational company, the technology applies. Second, massive bottlenecks always equal massive opportunities for those willing to build the solutions. And third, the biggest, most lucrative disruptions aren't always flashy consumer apps on your phone. They're happening right now, out of sight in the legacy backend of traditional systems. AI is the new, unavoidable foundation across the board.
Which leaves us with one final, really exciting question to ponder. What legacy industry is next on the chopping block? Because look, if heavy machinery, rare earth mining, mental health support, and corporate law are all currently being revolutionized by SaaS and AI, there is practically no sector left untouched. Keep your eyes open for those everyday bottlenecks, because that is exactly where the next billion-dollar technological disruption is waiting to happen. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and keep learning.